two new promo cards that were introduced this week in the drop event for Venusaur. The meta is ever changing, but not in the way that you might think. Hey guys, Zen here, and today we're gonna go over the Pocket Legends League number 9 tournament, which is actually currently ongoing in the final round between Hayato and Kytheon, and they are both running, check it out, a Arcanine Charizard EX. This is a new fire type variation that might honestly be potentially the best fire type deck in the entire format, maybe even the best deck in the format. Only time will tell. But today we're gonna go over the top 8 winning decks, and hopefully by the end of this video we'll actually get to find out who wins that matchup and who is crowned the first place champion of this tournament and who gets second place. But before we get into all of that, let's check out some notable contestants in this tournament. I really like looking at, the top 100 to see if there are any outlier decks, and we have a couple. First up is 51 right here with Hemsey and their Brock Golem Dugtrio deck list. Never have I ever even thought about considering Brock making it into a non-restricted format like this one. But hey, here we are. We're living in this timeline where we have 2 Geodudes, 2 Gravelers, 2 Golems, 2 Digletts, 2 Dugtrios, and 1 Onix. We're also running 2 Brocks, 2 Sabrinas, 2 Professor Research, 1 Giovanni, and 2 Potions, and this did fairly well with Hemsey going 6-3, and I think there's 1 tie in there. That's what that 1 is for right here. But let's see who they went up against and who they lost against and who they did tie. Okay, so they won against Gardevoir and Mewtwo, which is great because I think that's what Golem is really good for. It can literally just come in and one-shot Mewtwo's and just annihilate them if you can even get your Golem online. It lost to a Hyper Aggro Blaine, Starmie Greninja, but then it won against, Arbok Weezing, the anti-meta, another Mewtwo Gardevoir. It beat the Charizard Moltres. It beat, of course, Pikachu meta. It beat the Pikachu Zebstrika, and it tied into potentially the best fire type deck in the format right here, the Arcanine Charizard build, and then it lost into another Starmie Articuno. Those are just extremely fast, especially if they get their high roll Misties, right? But shout out to you for piloting this deck. And then the last deck I quickly want to go over, oops, that's everything, is the 95th spot Big Boy Snap, because this thing is just wild to me. They went 5-3 with this deck right here. They have 2 Snorlax, an entire Charizard EX line, an entire Butterfree line. I don't know if this is dual energy, but this is just wacky and wild to me that they were, able to pilot this into a top 100 standing in a over 500 player tournament. So shout out to you. Just wanted to quickly shout this out. This is the type of decks that I really enjoy seeing, and who knows, we might even try to test it out this week during our live streams. All right, now we're going into the top 8, and there was a reason we went over those. We're trying to, get closer to this actual match. Let's see how much time is left. All right, still 0-0. We don't have anyone leading this, so let's go into our top 8. And for the first time, I'm possibly seeing, I don't know if this ever happened before, but we have Moody with a Starmie Articuno and 2 Misties. I've never seen a Misty in a, regular top meta over 500 player tournament make it in top 8. So shout out to you. The luck was with you, but also the skill. They ran the staple here, which is 2 Staryu, 2 Starmie, 2 Articuno EX. It's literally Articuno EX 18 trainer, but with Starmie. Little splash of that. They're running 1 red card, a Giovanni to take that Starmie up to 100 damage. 2 Misties. I really want to know how many heads they got with their Misty, because that's wild to me. 2 X Speeds, Potions, Sabrinas, and your Professor Research. And their matches were into, a double Blastoise here. That's pretty spicy. They did lose against Gardevoir, Mewtwo, but they also lost against the Pikachu meta, which is understandable. Honestly, shout out to you, really good, but your matchups very, very good into this Starmie Articuno, so shout out to you. I feel like if this was entirely Pikachu, I think that's typically the issue that I see with a lot of like Misty players or Starmie Articuno players. They're going into it and their matchups are just like 8 Pikachus, Zapdos, Zebstrikas, and that's very hard to overcome. So with this type of matchups here, you did very well, and shout out to you for making a top 8, Moody. Next up, we have in 7th place, this player whose name I can't pronounce. However, they brought in with them, they went 10-3, the brand new Jigglypuff. And I honestly did not think, I knew Jigglypuff was going to be good, right? I didn't think it was going to be this good where it would automatically get a top 8 in the very next massive tournament where it was technically released in. Right, so here we have the promo Jigglypuff where you can play them, and if you're going second, you can sleep the opposing Pokemon, which is really good, into Mewtwo EXs and Pikachu EXs because they're basic Pokemon. They can't evolve, they can't get rid of the status condition unless they flip heads, and if they don't flip heads, you can kind of just steamroll them right there. We have 2 Wigglytuffs EXs, 2 Coughing, 2 Wheezings, a Meowth, 2 Professor Researchers, 2 Kogas, 1 Sabrina, 2 Pokeballs, 2 X Speeds, 1 red card, and a single potion. Honestly, this is a pretty spicy deck. I have a variation of this without the Meowth, but I like the Meowth here because it helps you draw into the cards that you need, especially like if you're like begging for that Koga and you just don't have it, you can swing with Meowth and now you get Koga into your hand, especially if your opponent doesn't have a red card. You don't have to worry about it getting red carded, especially in this open format type setting. Now let's check out their matches. It looks like they lost against a Mewtwo Gardevoir, 2 times Mewtwo Gardevoirs. However, they did win against a ton of Mewtwo Gardevoirs, which you would typically expect with a Darkness Energy deck that runs, Wheezing to deal that extra damage. And they did also lose to the person playing the final round right now, so shout out to them. Oh, looks like my light is flickering. Hopefully it doesn't shut off on me. But yeah, the Arcanine Charizard EX deck seems very spicy. Next is 6th place Ryunkyu with 10-3 with their Gardevoir a Mewtwo deck, and it is a staple. This is the one that we've been seeing do very well time and time again with a baby Mewtwo here. I'm pretty sure we're going to start seeing the promo baby Mewtwo since they just gave it out to players for logging into the game. I don't know if you had to like win certain games to get this new Mewtwo, but the game was like, you know what we need? We need more Mewtwo players. Here you go, baby Mewtwo. At least that's what it feels like. But yeah, no, this deck is a pretty strong staple, has a red card. Single Giovanni, I feel like we typically see 2 Giovannis because it pairs well with the Mewtwo EX really well, dealing that 60 damage early on to basic opposing Pokemon. But yeah, 1 Sabrina, 2 Potions, 2 X Speeds, 2 Pokeballs, and 2 Professor Researchers, and the entire Gardevoir lineup. And their matches are pretty well balanced. Only 2 Pikachu EXs. The rest were into Gardevoirs and Charizards. Honestly, this player went against a lot of top meta decks, and they also lost against the person playing the final round matchup right now to be crowned the winner of this tournament. They also lost against a matchup with Gardevoir Mewtwo and Arcanine and Charizard EX. Again, this feels like such a strong staple. I can't believe it took the entire player base this long. Like they got literally no new cards attached to it. It feels like every week there's a brand new fire type deck that's just surpassing everything else. But yeah, shout out to you for the top 6th placing. Now we're going into top 5, and this is our first look at the Charizard Arcanine deck list. And here we go with Spyro here. And yeah, this is going to be a staple that we're going to see. One thing that's kind of weird about this is there's only 1 Growlithe, but there's a reason for that. Is so that your Pokeballs can only pull this once. You're really looking for your Charmanders and your Moltres. Moltres EX is like the staple of this deck. You get this turn 1, you start ramping everything else on your bench. But then you have options where you can just evolve into your Arcanine EX as stage 1 and deal 120 damage. That's pretty strong with the 2 Sabrinas, 2 X Speeds, 2 Pokeballs, a single potion. And of course, don't forget your Charizard line, where if you ramp this up, it literally one-shots everything in the game. You can definitely see why this deck is doing insanely well right now. And the matches that they're winning against is literally almost everything. They lost against a Starmie Articuno, which I guess you can say is because of their weakness. That makes sense. They also lost against a mirror match, and then a Mewtwo Gardevoir. There's plenty of reasons for that. Like if you don't start an ideal start for your Arcanine Charizard Moltres build, and Mewtwo does get their like Gardevoir online turn 3, you kind of just instant lose, right? So it comes down to hopefully not breaking, but there's just so many options with this deck and it does so well. So shout out to you for getting a top 5 right here. And now going into top 4, things are getting pretty spicy. Here's our second Mewtwo Gardevoir deck list with 11-3, and let's look at it real quick. It's pretty much the exact same as the other one, but just placed a little bit better. The full Gardevoir line, 2 Mewtwo EXs, 1 Baby Mewtwo, 2 Sabrinas, still 1 Giovanni, a red card, a single potion, 2 X speeds, 2 Pokeballs, and a Professor Research. A pretty strong staple that we've seen time and time again every week of these tournaments. But let's see what they did into their matchups. They lost into a Charizard Moltres and a mirror match Gardevoir Mewtwo EX. However, they beat literally everything else here until they finally lost into one of the final contestants with their Arcanine Charizard EX. However, they did, unfortunately, like, look at this. Their last 4 matches were Charizard EX adjacent. First with the Charizard Moltres, they win. Charizard Arcanine, they win. Charizard Arcanine, they win. And then another Charizard Arcanine, like at a certain point, like it's gonna get a little tedious and overwhelming. So I can definitely see this happening. But still, nonetheless, shout out to you for placing top 4. Moving on to top 3, and we have Sohei with their Pikachu Zebstrika. This is surprisingly the only Pikachu in top 8, and it's the, Zebstrika sniper build with 2 Zapdos EXs, 2 Pikachu EXs, and a single Pincurchin. I love this deck. It's something that I love to pilot. I love Zebstrika's ability to just, snipe anything on their bench, and I just love this deck. I've said I love so many times, but I think you guys get this. I love this variation of Pikachu so much. We have 2 Sabrinas to switch things out. Like, for instance, if you can, deal 90 damage or whatever to their active Pokemon and they have 30 left, you can Sabrina them, switch out something else, knock out that Pokemon. The following turn, they're probably not going to bring in that 30 HP Pokemon. Then your Zebstrika comes in, knocks it out, easy points, easy double points if it turned out to be an EX Pokemon. Just, it works so great. And then the Giovanni with the Pikachu here deals 100 damage. It's such a good deck. And then also having the single red card here, like, it plays mind games with your opponents, especially in this open deck list type format. So I really like that. 2 X speeds. Everything here is only 1 retreat cost, so they become essentially free. 2 Pokeballs to help juice up our Pikachu EX, and a single potion to potentially survive getting knocked out and losing the game. And let's see their matches. They did fairly well into a ton of things. They did lose into a Charizard Moltres and a Mewtwo Gardevoir, 2 other very meta decks, and they lost against one of the 2 finalists right now. Speaking of finalists, let's go check them out real quick. Oh, and we're looking at it right now, and it looks like Hayato is leading 1-0. We'll check back in a couple seconds to see who's our winner. All right, we're back with a new light fixture because the other one was spazzing out, so hopefully this one's fine. And a champion here, Hytheon, with the win, which means Hayato is second place. So let's check out their Arcanine Charizard EX deck list. And I don't think we're going to see anything too different from these 2 decks. It's the full Charizard EX line, the Moltres EX, the single Growlithe, 1 Sabrina, which is interesting, and a red card. Everything else is pretty much a staple. And this thing went toe-to-toe with every other deck in this tournament and ended up with a second place finish. So shout out to you with this phenomenal performance. But now let's check out Hytheon with their deck list. Is there anything different? No, there isn't. It is literally possibly the best fire type deck in the entire format, potentially even the best deck in the format. I don't know, only time will tell. Pikachu EX was that best deck in the format, but as you can see now, there was only 1 Pikachu EX in the top 8. But there you guys have it. That is the top 8 of this massive 500 player tournament. Check out the metagame here real quick, where your Mewtwo EX Gardevoir, I think I'm probably covering it up, had a 51% win rate with 157 players choosing to play this deck, with the second most being the Arcanine Charizard EX. So I guess with those numbers, it's bound to happen. Plus, the Charizard and Arcanine build had a 55% win rate. But there you guys have it. Don't forget to hit the like button. Consider subscribing for more quality Pokemon Pocket content. Oh, and tournaments are on Limitless TCG. There are so many comments asking, where do you sign up for these tournaments? That's where you sign up for them. But that's going to be a wrap. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.